We interrupt this program for a breaking news update from the Big Ten Network.
Welcome into our Chicago studios. Dave Revson with you. Be joined in a bit here by Jimmy Jackson to react to the big news coming out of West Lafayette, originally announced yesterday, but we will get confirmation today here from all the parties involved. Matt Painter is, in fact, staying at Purdue, this after turning down overtures to become the new head coach at the University of Missouri. So the Purdue basketball coach will stay. We're going to hear details of a new contract that will keep him in West Lafayette through the 2018-2019 season. Painter, winner of 3 of the last 4 Big Ten Coach of the Year awards. So a huge get for Purdue to hang on to their alum. Let's get more now from West Lafayette. Rob Blackman sets the scene for us. Rob?
All right, Dave, thank you. Here live in West Lafayette, Mackey Arena to be exact, where in just a moment in the dais behind me, we'll be joined by Purdue University President France Córdova, as well as Athletic Director Morgan Burke and Purdue head basketball coach Matt Painter. They will be discussing the details of a new Matt Painter contract that now calls for him to be the head basketball coach here at Purdue through the 2018-2019 season. It's a new 8-year contract. It will guarantee Matt Painter $2.3 million annually, which is quite a bump from where he had been in previous seasons, and it would make him the 3rd highest paid coach in all of the Big Ten. Plus, there are incentive clauses written into this new contract, I'm told, that would allow Matt Painter, if he can reach those high water marks, both academically and athletically, if he could reach those, it would make him among the top 10 nationally paid coaches in all of college basketball. But again, we're about to get all of the details here from Mackey Arena in just a moment, as Matt Painter, France Córdova, and Morgan Burke are just about to enter the room and talk more about this new 8-year contract for Matt Painter and the Purdue Boilermakers. Let's go back to our Chicago studios.
Okay, Rob, thanks a lot. So again, we are awaiting that news conference to get the official details on Matt Painter's new contract. Here's the details on what Painter's done to this point, both at Purdue and as well as at Southern Illinois. Remember, he spent a year as the head coach in 03-04, but the bulk of his success has been at Purdue. 6 NCAA tournament appearances in all in his career, 5 of those at Purdue, 5 straight, in fact. Again, won the Big Ten Coach of the Year 3 of the last 4 years, led Purdue to the Sweet 16 a couple times, so has had tremendous success at Purdue, and it looks like that will continue. Let's head out to West Lafayette now and get some of the details.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining us here today. 7 years ago, almost to this very day, we gathered here in Mackey Arena to introduce Matt Painter as successor to Gene Cady as the head men's basketball coach at Purdue University. 4 years ago, almost to the day, we were here to announce the $99.5 million Mackey Complex project, which rapidly is reaching its zenith. Today, we are pleased to have you join us for the formal announcement that Purdue University and Matt Painter have agreed to a new 8-year contract to the 2018-19 season. Our format today will be an opening statement by University President France Córdova, followed by Athletics Director Morgan Burke and Coach Painter. Afterwards, all 3 will take questions. President Córdova.
Good morning. Today is a great day for Purdue. Coach Painter is a Boilermaker alum, an exceptional basketball coach, and an Indiana native in a state that truly values basketball. Matt made his reputation here at Purdue, first as a student, as a player, and now our coach. He's built a winning program, a program of class and character that we're proud of. He understands that our players are students as well as athletes. And hello to our student athletes out there. He's earned the following of a loyal and exuberant paint crew and the enduring respect and admiration of all of us. I'm grateful to our Board of Trustees who rallied swiftly with their support. I'm very excited about the future of our basketball program with Matt Painter as our coach. Boiler up.
Morgan.
Thanks, Tom. I just have a few comments to make. I think Matt and I remember pretty vividly back about 7 years ago in April of 2004, we had a little meeting on a Sunday morning, and that led to the decision by Matt and Jerry to come to Purdue. And in that meeting, I said to Matt that if he lived up to the expectations that I had of him and that he had of himself, I thought there'd be 3 contractual adjustments that would be made during the life of his tenure here at Purdue, at least in the early part of his tenure. And I'm glad it didn't take us very long. It actually got there a little quicker than I think maybe he envisioned than I did, but I'm glad that it did. And Matt has earned the recognition to be paid among the best, and my thanks to our board chair, Keith Kroc, our president, Dr. Córdova, Tom Spurgeon, who's also on the board. They helped us move quickly, and I appreciated their counsel and support through these discussions. Their leadership is why this entire university is poised for even greater success. Our vision in athletics is to create citizens, scholars, and champions. There's a bunch of them sitting over there in pursuit of the so-called 25-85 mythical club that we've talked about. It's something that Matt and our other coaches have bought into, and all of them help each other. Matt and his fellow coaches care about all our teams. Matt knew as much about David Budaya and his counterpart, Dan Ross and Adam Soldati, as anyone. We have big aspirations in athletics, and Matt epitomizes one who desires for all of our teams to go for it. A lot has been written about my relationship with Matt, Gene, and Joe, and I suspect there's more there than the bloggers know. After all, Gene and Joe did finish their careers at Purdue, and I think with this deal, Matt is positioned to do the same. I'm a businessman, and I'm proud that we spend what we earn, and we don't look for the general fund of the university, which supports the education of our students, nor the state to pick up any of the tab. Kate and I are very, very proud of Jerry. Being a head coach's wife, and I might add an AD's wife, is tough. Matt and I love them dearly for allowing us to do what we do. Finally, Matt and I have a huge bond that many of you don't understand. We understand it. We're both former varsity letter winners at this university. We love our university. We have seen how Boilermakers make big differences in molding young people and fostering breakthroughs and in producing high character among young people. Boilermakers are makers all. Now, you won't want to miss this fall for a lot of different reasons as Dave Shondell and Danny Hope get their teams going, but we have a very, very special occasion coming on 11/11 when we start the renovation, or we actually do the inaugural game in the renovated Mackey Arena. 11/12, we get an opportunity to play Ohio State. 11/13, the women will open up. So the Mackey Rebirth, the Ross-Ade, and all of our venues can only be difference makers if we have strong coaches like Matt, and we have some of the best, but it takes more. The John Purdue Club members, you know what? Nancy and I and all of our staff truly believe you are the team behind the team. To the paint crew, our band, you're the best. In fact, we have the best student body. Who can forget senior night? And who would want to miss 11/11 when we see Robbie, Lewis, Ryan, and the rest of the team come on the field? They're going to pass the baton to Rob Henry and his group the next day. Rob and his group will pass it on to Brittany and Dre. It's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Matt, we're delighted that this whole thing has worked in a way that works for both sides. It's great to have a colleague and a friend and somebody who really understands what a Purdue Boilermaker is all about. Boiler up, hammer down, and hail Purdue.
Coach Painter.
Thank you, Morgan. Obviously, very pleased the commitment that our university has shown. Dr. Córdova, the Board of Trustees, our administration. Want to thank my family, my wife, Jerry, our players. I think we have some of the best players in the country. We have good guys that work hard, even though I just talked to them and we met. You're, as a basketball player and as a basketball coach, you're only as good as your last game. And we weren't very good in our last game. So I think that's something that's going to drive us through the spring and through the summer and the fall to get us ready for next winter. But very grateful to be in this position, very grateful just to be the head coach at Purdue. I've always said that. It's something I try to pass on to our guys, and that you're lucky to be here. And Purdue's not lucky to have me. I'm lucky to be at Purdue, and I think they should feel the same way also, and just understand that it is a great opportunity for us to move forward and to get better and to keep improving. I talked to Juwan and each one of our players during the middle of last year and just said, your best basketball and the best points of your career haven't happened yet. And the one thing you want to keep doing as a player and you want to keep doing as a coach, and I've been very fortunate because it keeps you young when you stay in college athletics, is I've always lived on a college campus. And I always see things like I'm 20 years old. And I think there's an innocence to that that allows you to keep dreaming, and it keeps wanting you to do bigger and better things. And that's what I want at Purdue. I want to win a Big Ten championship every single year and put ourselves in a position to make a run in the NCAA tournament. The thing with the NCAA tournament that is so special is there's a lot of great teams. I used to always say there was teams in the NIT that can go to the Sweet 16. And now one can argue there's teams in the NIT that can push further than that. There's a lot of good basketball out there. There's a lot of parity. But I think we can do that right here at Purdue and go to Final Fours and win a national championship. But we got to keep dreaming, and through dreaming, you got to work hard. You just can't sit on your couch and sit there and dream. You got to put it into action. You got to put in some work. And I like our guys. I like our players. Very pleased with the development of Juwan Johnson and E'Twaun Moore on and off the court. I think they've given us a gauge to move forward. With that being said, I really like the leadership of our seniors-to-be next year, and Ryan Smith, Lewis Jackson, and Robbie Hummel. I think they all have the characteristics to help us do special things. But they're going to have to be able to do it, right now, and keep doing it every single day. And then we're going to have everybody in line, and just flat out working people. It's not a real tough process. You got to get the guys that care in the same room, and that'll work hard and put in the extra time, and then you can do special things. But very pleased to be here today. Would rather work than talk about it. And right now, obviously, we're talking about it. So, but very, very blessed, to be the head coach and for something of this nature to happen. And just pleased to see that kind of commitment from our university so we can push forward.
We'll take questions. If you'll raise your hand, we'll get a microphone out to you. And if you'd identify yourself and your affiliation, we'd appreciate it.
Got Jeff Washburn, Lafayette Journal and Courier, for President Córdova and Morgan. There's been a lot said, written, blogged, whatever, the last couple of days. It's been very difficult to discern what's fact and what's fiction. Matt talked, you talked about Matt's contract, but could you address maybe some other things that are in place, are going to be in place, such as compensation for the assistant coaches, other things that maybe the program needs to go to that next level? Could you just talk about, one of or both of you talk about that?
I'm
Morgan start.
I'm happy to jump in on that. The commitment is to make sure that you have the resources to be there. And while we're not going to get into all the specifics here this morning, I've assured Matt, as I've assured Danny Hope, as I've assured other coaches, that where we have gaps, we need to fix them. And you can't have the aspirations to be champions unless you're willing to do the things that are necessary resource-wise. So, will we look at all those issues, Jeff? Yes. We're committed to making sure where we've got gaps, they're plugged. We believe we have the resources backed up behind those commitments to ensure that we can put them in place. And the bottom line is, if you want to win a championship, you have to do the things that a championship team will do. So we're prepared to make that commitment.
President Córdova, could you maybe address that a little bit too?
Sure, Jeff, I'll add to that. It takes a great team at all levels. I have a great team in our vice presidents, our provosts, some of our vice president for media marketing, Terry Thompson, is here. Great officers. I could never do this kind of job on my own, and we realize that Matt needs a great team of leaders and mentors for the students, for the players as well. And so we aim to work with him to provide that team of support that we're going to need to go to the next level.
Let's go back in the back here.
Chris Nelson, Associated Press. Matt, could you talk about your meeting with Missouri, and was it just a matter of courtesy to them, or were you really just considering your options? And was it all about money to come back to Purdue, or was there more to it?
Well, obviously, when you talk professionally with other people, it stays private with your discussions, and there's not a person sitting up here that didn't talk to somebody professionally, or they wouldn't have changed jobs. And I think there's nothing hurts your position at your school, especially with the people that are around you. The guys that play for us at Purdue understand me. Sometimes people on the outside don't totally understand you as a person. They try to gauge it by what they read, and we all know we make poor decisions when we do that. But there was nothing more than just discussions at that time. And there's been other discussions, very similar. And when I talked to DJ Bird and Lewis and Rob, because those are three guys that reached out to me, and when I called them, I explained that to them. And I said, as you go forward in your lives, I want what's best for them. And last year when I talked to Juwan, when he put his name in the draft, I wanted what was best for Juwan Johnson. And he might not have felt that some days, but I also told him the truth. And I feel very comfortable what I told him, 11 months ago, 12 months ago, ended up being true. And I think that's something you have to assess where you are, you have to assess where you're going, but through discussions of that nature, you're listening. And I'm glad Dr. Córdova listened when Purdue pursued her, because that's all she was doing at that time. Then you make that action, and what it gets down to in life, it's like kids on your block or people you grow up with. Talk's cheap, and it comes down to action and what you do. And I'm happy to be a Boilermaker.
Go here in the second row.
Hi, Coach. Brittany Dale from Fox 59 in Indy. I wanted to ask you how something like this potentially will impact recruiting. Do you think this will be an issue because you've maybe potentially had one foot out the door at one point, or do you think you won't have a problem at all?
No, it's not a problem. And anybody that thinks that doesn't understand the landscape of college basketball. What athletic directors do across the country is they narrow two things down. Who's winning, who's graduating their players, maybe three things, who's doing things the right way. And if you check off all three of those, there's not going to be a lot of schools on that list. There's going to be about, X amount of schools. I'm not going to put a number to that. And then they call, and they gauge the interest of those people. And then that's what you do. I think it's a positive, because what it means is we're graduating our players, we're doing things the right way, and we went 5 straight years of at least winning one game in the NCAA tournament. And some people would say it's a compliment to me personally, and I really don't look at it that way. I think it's a compliment to our program in Purdue. And I think there's a lot of athletic directors, there's a lot of presidents out there in the country that say, hey, we need to do what Purdue does. And that's the way I look at it, because it's not about me. It's about your players. And, I got the opportunity at Purdue because we had good players at Southern Illinois. We had good guys at Southern Illinois. Don't get away from that. I think the head coach gets too much credit when things go right, and I think the head coach gets too much blame when they go wrong. So make sure you guys remember that last part.
Right out here.
Jeff Rabjohns, Indianapolis Star. For President Córdova and Morgan, do you guys feel that the Purdue administration has a full understanding?
A little louder.
What's that?
A little louder.
I'm sorry. Do you feel the Purdue administration has a full understanding of all the resources available at places like Ohio State and Michigan State that you're asking Matt to compete against? And are you providing him with tools that put him on a parallel plane to compete with his rivals?
Well, I don't expect France to have that data. She better expect me to, or I shouldn't be AD. The answer is yes. I mean, we're investing $100 million upgrade to this facility that'll make it state of the art. Lots of things you haven't seen yet, not inside this bowl, but when you get a chance to see what we've done in sports medicine, what we're doing in the learning center, we're doing in the practice court and the like, that's a piece of it, and that's important. So you're constantly benchmarking. That's one of the things that, Matt and I, one of our discussion points as we were working our way through this is saying we've got to make sure that those discussions occur in real time, because a lot of times it's about taking resources that you have in one area that no longer really work for you and putting them over in some other place. I'll give you an example. A few years ago, it's pretty clear the media guide situation was changing. And Matt came to me and said, I really have a need over here. How about if I shift those resources? And he did that. Now, we're never going to outspend the teams that have stadiums of 100,000 people. And George Steinbrenner was here, and he has some Purdue blood, so he might be up here in the sky. He'll be quick to tell you that just because the New York Yankees have the biggest budget doesn't mean they win the World Series every year. We have to be smart about our plans. We have to have great leadership, great coaches. We have to prioritize, and we need to have a common set of expectations that are with us year in and year out. We haven't changed our direction in a long time. I'm actually delighted that this happened. It may seem odd because I got thrown under the bus a little bit, but I honestly believe Matt had been here long enough where he needed to look in the mirror. He needed to look elsewhere.